Where do you want me looking?
Just do whatever you want.
Like my profile.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Michael with me. He's agreed to come on. We are currently in Bali. It's our last week and we've decided to sit down and answer your questions. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I think it's important to note too, I haven't seen any of these questions or heard them yet. These conversations, as people have them in their relationships, they come up and they can be unpredictable, and there's a scary element to it. And so I think to get honest reactions is good. So there's no Donna Brazil moments happening here.
So the first one is from Hanners19, and she said, my boyfriend just simply doesn't think it will be as effective as birth control pills, and we really cannot get pregnant right now. Since it's more of a modern trend of birth control, there's a ton of information on it regarding using the Daysy or other device rather than just a paper chart.
Well, so I think this is probably like the biggest critique of FEMME, perhaps, is that it's a new method, or at least it's one that people don't talk about in relationships. And I know that when we first started talking about it, there was similar maybe fears or questions. I would say Hanners19, if you're going to engage in sexual activity, there's always a risk of pregnancy, and that exists no matter what platform you use. One of the great things about FEMME is that you don't have to just practice FEMME on its own. With these things, as you start on FEMME and until your partner fully understands and they see you waking up every morning and taking your temperature and explaining it, and once you chart the cycles a couple times and you can see that there's consistency there, use redundancy. There's other forms of birth control that you can use, and even once you really understand FEMME, you have that window of time where you're ovulating and where it's more likely that you're going to get pregnant, and you can use the redundancy there and give your partner reassurance. Maybe one of the approaches that you can take with your partner is to show them data. You know, there's a lot of data out there. Sit down, explain the method, explain that it's not, you know, crossing your fingers and jumping in a circle. You know, it's got a lot of research behind it, and men tend to be very practical.
Next question is from Mastrovki. While most partners have trouble trusting FEMME, mine has the opposite problem. He is so comfortable that I feel he isn't careful enough. How do I help him understand that we both need to be very careful during the fertile window? Thank you.
One of the things that we've talked about is, you know, the actual window. How long does that window last? And it's everything from how long the egg is present versus how long sperm can be stored. And I think that in talking to your partner, really having the honest conversation of, okay, are we comfortable getting pregnant? And if the answer is no, then saying, well, here's how it works. Here's how biology works. Let's make sure that during these days we're careful. I think that the power of FEMME, though, it goes the opposite direction too. Like as a man, I did not know about the whole ovulation window before learning all of these things, and so you get to have the conversation with your partner that's the opposite, that says, I feel very confident that during this time period I'm ovulating, and during this time period I'm not. And that can be a freeing thing as well. It kind of helped to ease people's minds and be more present in the moment and everything else.
The next one is from Sergal1692. How do you get them involved or maybe interested in learning more? My boyfriend avoids having conversations about FEMME and women's health in general because he doesn't feel it pertains to him.
Well, one, I would say that if you have a child with somebody, then it definitely pertains to you. Are they interested in having sexual interactions with you? My guess is yes. It's really important in a relationship for both people to feel like they have a vested interest, not in just their own bodies, but in each other's bodies. And I can say that that will make for a much healthier relationship and a much happier physical relationship.
Music keeps me living. How can I get my boyfriend to be more involved in FEMME, since birth control always seems to be the female's responsibility? So I think that's...
Oh, music keeps her living is the name.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. That didn't relate. Maybe make it a package deal. Maybe as you approach relationships, or if you're already in a relationship, you say, this is how I practice sexuality, this is how I practice birth control, this is how I view myself, and this is a package. You don't get one without all of the other components, and having a relationship in which the man buys into that is important. Both people have a vested interest in how the other person's body feels, or body looks, and body reacts to things, and all of that is really, really important in a relationship that's going to be coming full circle numbers of times, and I would hope that having that honest and often difficult conversation up front is something that your boyfriend or your partner can get on board with.
Lucy Plummy Hill said, my husband is super involved and into FAMME, and he even insisted on paying half for my Daisy as it's a 50-50 job avoiding pregnancy. That's awesome. We talked about it like it's the most natural thing ever at home. However, he meets a lot of resistance when he mentions FAMME or cycles to other guys. How does Michael talk about FAMME to his guy friends? So how would you explain? How do you talk about it to your friends? Does it ever? Because I know it's come up before.
It's come up not very often. I mean, obviously Victoria doing what she does makes the conversation occur with a bit more frequency than it might otherwise. I'm curious in what circumstances it's coming up amongst his guy friends, because we don't generally talk about it, and I have a very, very open group of friends. I think I'd be very happy to talk about it, and I would say, you know, all the things that we mentioned before, all the ways in which it's really good for your body, all the ways in which it's really freeing to our minds. I would like to think that if you have a partner who's going in 50-50 on a Daisy and is hopefully gathering the information that you're gathering, that the conversation that he holds with his guy friends could be an absolutely huge thing towards kind of shifting this progress of men being able to approach menstruation or approach ovulation and do it with knowledge and do it without fear of the conversation, and just totally flip the script. So good for him.
Mrs. Harsgrave, 2012. My question is, how do you get your husband to trust you actually know that you ovulated and it's safe?
I approach our physical relationship with an underlying knowledge that there is always the possibility that pregnancy could happen. And if we were in a position where there was zero way in which we could get pregnant, then I think that we would have to really say, okay, if we have 0% chance that we can get pregnant, then how are we going to go about that? I understand where he's coming from. I think that trusting any form of birth control, whether it's something the guy's doing or something the female's doing, I mean, the whole concept of an IUD was just beyond me for a long time. You know, how does it work? And I think understanding how it works, at the base of all the things that we've said, information is power, right? Knowledge is power. Understanding why FAMME works in the way it does, that is something that can free your mind and hopefully help the conversation to progress.
Any final thoughts that you want to share about the theme of what's kind of the questions?
So one thing that's really important to me that hasn't been touched on is if there is a fault that I have of FAMME, and it's true also of IUDs, and it's true also of birth control pills, its inability to stop sexually transmitted diseases. I just got back from Africa, and we were at the only public cancer hospital in Kenya is a place called Kenyatta National Hospital, and the #1 cancer is one that's in women. It's cervical cancer, and it's because there's not prevention methods, and even if you look in the United States, I mean, cervical cancer in women and throat cancer in men is becoming more and more and more prevalent. We often talk about the pregnancy aspect. It's really important to address those other issues as well, because your health and your body is more than just whether you're pregnant or not.
Any other thoughts?
Go get them. I'm genuinely curious to hear the stories that people have of their conversations with their partners. Know that knowledge is power, and know that even if they turn a deaf ear or if they make uncomfortable jokes, that they are listening and that they hear what you're saying, and that hopefully they'll be an invested partner and want to learn and see your body flourish.
Yeah, and then I would also like to add that if you guys have any questions, either me or Michael, about this topic, I'm sure I could maybe wrangle them into another video. I don't know.
Another 5 months from now.
We'll see. So ask your questions down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I have all the information in my description box about my courses and my coaching and all that fun jazz. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!